Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to Prelims Affairs, where we discuss issues from prelims perspective. Today, the issue that we will discuss is price indices. Very important is the Consumer Price Index, the Wholesale Price Index and the Index of Industrial Production, that is IIP. Now, they can be asked in prelims and it is a recurrent theme, so we should have a good factual knowledge of these indices. First and foremost, what is a price index? These price index or indices measures the changes in the prices at different levels of the supply chain. They measure the changes in the prices of both goods as well as services that can impact either the producers or manufacturers, or it can impact the end user or the retailers. So the first index that we will discuss is the Consumer Price Index. Okay, the Consumer Price Index measures the change in the retail prices of goods and services purchased by households as well as end customers. I'll repeat, it is basically measuring the changes in the retail prices of both goods and services that is purchased by households as well as the end customers. It is considered as a measure for cost of living index. So CPI is used in order to assess the cost of living index. Now, there are four types of Consumer Price Index. You have three, that is CPI Industrial Workers, CPI Agricultural Laborers and CPI Rural Laborers. This CPI IW, CPI AL and CPI RL are three indices that are released by the Labor Bureau. Whereas you have CPI Combined. When I say CPI combined means rural plus urban. This CPI combined, which includes the CPI of rural as well as urban, this CPI combined is released by the National Statistical Office that comes under the Ministry of Statistics, that is MOSPI. So these are the four types of CPIs. Now, if we take Consumer Price Index, this is how the weightage inside the Consumer Price Index is distributed. The weightage is again important, so understand this. The weightage goes in this order. The first is the food and beverage. The second is services. The third is miscellaneous. The fourth is housing. The fifth is fuel and light. And the sixth is clothing and footwear. So I hope you understood this is what is CPI or Consumer Price Index. Okay. The next is WPI or Wholesale Price Index. Now, WPI measures the changes in the wholesale prices. Unlike the retail prices of CPI, the WPI measures the changes in the wholesale prices of commodities, not goods and services. It's only goods. That is, it assesses the changes in the wholesale prices of commodities that is sold in bulk at the first stage of transaction that impacts the manufacturers. Okay, so again I'll repeat, it assesses the changes in the wholesale prices of commodities that is sold in bulk at the first stage of transaction impacting manufacturers. Okay, so this WPI is published by the Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It is published on a monthly basis. The base year is 2011 and 12. And it roughly indicates the Producer Prices Index that is released by the Ministry of Commerce. Next, the weightage of WPI are broadly divided into three. The first is primary article that has 22.6%. The next is fuel and power that has 13.2%. The third is manufactured products that has 64.2%. So here the weightage is more given to manufactured products that comes first. The next is primary articles and the third is fuel and power. Okay. Now, if you take these three sectors, within these two sectors, you have food component. For example, if you are looking at these three sectors, you have primary articles in which you have food articles and non-food minerals. As well as in manufactured products, you have food products and non-food products. Okay. Now, if I take the food articles from the primary articles and if I take the food products from manufacturing products and if I club them both, they become the food index. The food index basically includes the food articles from primary articles as well as the food products from manufacturing products. This food index measures the food inflation. Okay, and the weightage for this food index is 24.4%. Okay. However, so to summarize the weightage of WPI, you have the first is the manufacturing products, which has 64.2%. Then you have the primary articles, you have 22.6%, and the next is fuel and power, that is 13.2%. This is the weightage, and from this they have pulled out the food articles from primary articles and food products from manufactured products to create something called food index that has 24.2%. So this is what is WPI. So after you learn what is CPI and what is WPI, you should learn the difference between what is core inflation and headline inflation. Okay, inflation basically is the changes in the prices of goods and services for prolonged periods of time. That is what is inflation. Now, when you assess the changes in the prices of goods and services for all the sectors, excluding food and energy sector, then it becomes core inflation. Headline inflation is when you assess the changes in the prices of all the sectors in the economy, including the food and energy sector, then this becomes the headline inflation. So, this core inflation removes the food and energy sector and then assesses the changes in prices. The changes are less volatile and the changes are more or less stable. Whereas if you take headline inflation, it will assess the changes in the prices of all the sectors in the economy, inclusive of food and energy. Hence, this is indicative of the total inflation of the country, and because it has energy and food inside it, it spikes and there is a lot of volatility when it comes to headline inflation. So broadly, you have core inflation and you have headline inflation, and these two are the difference that you just learned. The reason why I'm telling you this is, if you take the Monetary Policy Committee, that is under RBI, the main objective of RBI is to control inflation. And to control inflation, it needs some type of a reference in order to always assess the changes in the prices, and the reference used by RBI is headline inflation and not core inflation. Okay, headline inflation, which is indicative of the total inflation of the country, is what is used by the RBI to control inflation. And from 2014, RBI uses CPI combined as a indicative measure of headline inflation to control inflation in India. Okay, it was using, before 2014 it was using WPI, but now after 2014 RBI uses, or Monetary Policy Committee uses, the indicative measure of headline inflation as CPI combined. So CPI combined, that is released by MOSPI's NSO, that is the measure or a reference that is used by the Monetary Policy Committee to control inflation in India. I hope you understood this inflation, what is headline inflation, what is core inflation, what is CPI, and what is WPI. The next is Index of Industrial Production. It is a measure of country's industrial production growth. The base year is 2011 and 12. It is released 12th of every month by CSO under MOSPI. And this is responsible for, the CSO MOSPI is responsible for both the compilation as well as publication of Index of Industrial Production. Broadly, you have within this IIP 8 core industries. These 8 core industries are given a weightage of 40.27%. And these 8 core industries, now I will tell them in the descending order with the weightage. That is, the 8 core industries are as follows. 1, you have refineries that has the highest weightage. Then you have electricity. Then you have steel. Then you have coal, then you have crude oil, then you have natural gas, then cement, and then fertilizer. So from the highest to the lowest, we go as refineries, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, fertilizer. These are the 8 core industries that have the total weightage of 40.27%. Now, the sectoral composition of Index of Industrial Production is, broadly the sectors are 3. You have manufacturing that has 77.6%, you have mining that has 14.3%, and electricity that has 7.9%. So, manufacturing within the sector of IIP has been given predominant importance. This index of 8 core industries, apart from this, there is also index of 8 core industries that is also released by the Office of Economic Advisor, DIPP, the Ministry of Commerce, and the base year for this index of 8 core industries are 2011 and 12. Apart from IIP, they also released something called this index of 8 core industries. I have already told you what are these 8 core industries. They have the weightage of 40.27 within the IIP. Okay, so you have within one is index of industrial production, the next is index of 8 core industries. So I hope you understood what is the difference. Okay, and you understood what are these 8 core industries within the IIP and what is the sectoral composition within the IIP as well, along with the weightage. So these are some of the important factual dimensions that you should know from prelims perspective before going to the exam. So I hope you learned these price indices and you learn the factual dimensions of them. Please make sure that you revise them. There are very high chances that they can come. Until next time guys, with another issue, I'll meet you again. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Please make sure that you like, share and subscribe. Bye.